My name's Lobster, and I'm the lead developer for Dynamic Ranked and other kind of matchmaking systems. We can do a good job at giving people fair matches quickly with position selection, 99%. We can guarantee you mid, sure, but now instead of waiting 15 minutes, you might have to wait 30 because there's so many players who want mid. So making really one trade-off of time for quality. Yeah, so when we think of a fair match, it's literally the teams have equal chance of winning. So, and basically the way we look at that is you get some advantage of playing with your friends or pre-mating. So limiting a number of pre-mates makes it easier for us to make a good match. And so we can offset the matchmaking to say, okay, you're going to play against slightly more skilled solos to balance that out. If we match 5 solos up and we know that based on their skill level, they have an equal chance to beat a 5-man pre-made, I'm comfortable with that match because they have an equal chance. So basically we can adjust the fact that you're playing with a team. Our ability to find 2 teams that are right next to each other, you're not going to be able to do that all the time. My thoughts on that are like, there's always teamwork going to be had, whether it's somebody that you're pre-mating with or not. The 2 things we have to address are, do we patch it for top tier? It's easier to just like put a Band-Aid on it and say, okay, now the top tier players have a better experience, but then it can look really odd. You're like, hey, I'm a solo queue hero, or let's say I'm a pre-made hero up through high plat, and then we have this cutoff where like, hey, you can't play 5s anymore. At top tier, it's pretty much shit right now, and we got to fix it. We have to start matching, a pre-made 5 with solos and duos and trios. You can't do that forever because you might be sitting on your ass for a half hour waiting for that other team. It'd be really awkward as a player growing and getting stronger that the way they got there in terms of their competitive experience suddenly gets turned off for the sake of these like weird back-end details. But on the other hand, we have to address the fact that we don't have the queue times and the quality we want. Historically, ranked has been at least twice as bad in terms of toxicity than normals. We have more players playing ranked than have ever played ranked before, which is also really satisfying because we got feedback all the time that says, I want to play ranked. What we've seen is like all the ways we measure how people treat each other in game look better than normal queues. Oh, raw numbers, so like, yeah.
Okay.
In terms of like, you consider the same size population.
Right.
More people are playing ranked.
Okay.
Which
makes
sense. After the release. And again, we're talking about for like the 99 out of 100 players who are the largest population of League players. Roster management's not useful. And so my options are I can solo queue or else
Is that contextual based off of?
It's both those things. Yes, exactly. Those were our 2 bets, is that giving people control over their position makes it more fun and less angry. And then playing with your friends is also more fun and less angry. Some of this gets into the secret sauce that we can't talk as openly about, but I can tell you right now, like we have 3 features lined up, and it is our first priority to implement them, and they're supposed to fix those problems. It helps when you have smaller premates, because when SKT queues, you can't get a good match. 2, there's just some work we haven't got to yet, because when we model, we'll run like hundreds of thousands of players through the system in a test environment, and then we measure like our quality metrics. On the average, those things look solid, and that's what we kind of tune and dial for release. 2 things. By introducing positions, we created those buckets, which makes the match times worse, right? The queue times get longer. So basically, by conceding the 2 things that we want to give players, which are pre-mades and position selection, we have to see how much of that we have to reduce to get your time and quality back. So second, the way we optimize giving you your primary is pretty naive right now. It's not good enough. And so we actually are working on improving that too. The hard part is the longer you wait, the more the system has to say, well, damn. Like the trade-off is if you really want it, you're gonna have to wait because there aren't enough players taking the less popular roles. So that's really the trade-off. And right now we look at match times and quality and say, those aren't good enough. So we're gonna have to give up something, and it's probably gonna have to be position select. Time and quality have to be about evenly the top priority. And in fact, we did that. I think one of your posts was you like fighting against some plat players, or maybe you got paired with them. That happened actually when we said, hey, let's use this really aggressive knob. We made a change to the system. Yeah. And the goal was, again, the trade-off is the longer you wait, the more relaxed we have to be about quality. Right. So perfect situation is, so we can give you an instant match and you can play with bronzes in 0 seconds.
Okay.
That doesn't feel good.
No.
We could also make you wait for 9 months until 9 other players hit exactly your match made rating. So we're somewhere in between that. Right. And so what we have are, how fast the system is willing to give you less quality matches. So our effort was, hey, match times are shit. let's tune one of these dials that says, be willing to make matches faster. And suddenly we saw plats, and we said, oops, we overdid it, and then we had to pull that one back. No, I think the original plan was that we wanted to make rank better, and we thought dynamic queue would do it. The response that we're going to bring solo queue back wasn't like a well thought out plan. And like, frankly, we just fucked that up. So, and we basically just did a bad job, because instead of telling players, one, it's like, hey, we don't have all the answers, so stay tuned, and then like saying that until we figured it out, we basically made promises, or we made statements of, here, we're going to build this. And then we went and looked at it, and we're like, shit, we can't build that, or it's not going to work. To be honest, we did a terrible job at all of the communication, and it wasn't any evil genius plan. It was basically like, for the engineers who kind of were aware of the problems the system had, we were like, hey, give us some time, and we're going to like go try to fix some of these problems. And then we had different members of the team coming in and different people jumping into the conversation, and not everyone had all the same information.
Tomorrow, the state of the world changes, and you're like,
well, matchmaking times aren't as fast as they're supposed to be for top tier players. Match quality isn't good enough for top players right now. And what that comes down to, I think, is one, I think it's worth telling everyone that, and two, we got to talk about how we intend to fix that stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of interested, like, what your guys' experience have been playing dynamic queue. I know that
it's awful.
I do want to speak to that, because like, there's the goal we set out to do, which was give you more control about playing with your friends, more control about what position you play, and matchmaking time and quality are supposed to be as good as before. Let me ask though, if you have good matches, do you see a problem with being evenly matched up against a pre-made team? And I think you're right that we kind of missed the ball on both timing. So if we can find you a perfect match instantly, that's ideal. And then the longer you have to wait in queue, the more relaxed we are about how good a match we can make. And that's just like fundamentally how a matchmaking system operates. And so we're just trying to offer the opportunity for players who want to also pre-made their ranked experience. And ideally, we make those matchups fair so you have an equal chance to win that game. When we went out, we didn't know it would be this bad for rank. So all we've been doing for the last 3 months is trying to fix it, basically. And we haven't fixed it yet. Now, the system also tries to get fives to compete with fives first, but you can't do ranked fives because I can never get 5 people together.